Once upon a partnership, a movement was born. An idea became a prototype whose energy would spread across industries and onto the streets of Europe. DFDS electric trucks were out. Well treated on our journey, greeted by prime ministers and unicorns. We were the first e-truck in Belgium, and first in Lithuania too. Launches in Netherlands, Sweden, Germany, and of course, home in Denmark. We've moved freight of all sorts, for all sorts of companies. Steel, automotive, and cold chain. And I know what you're thinking. Charging problems? Our partnership with Kempower has installed charging stations in Belgium, Sweden, Netherlands. We have grown with record-breaking orders to the largest fleet in Europe. We are a front-runner, and when you hit the ground running, sometimes the ground will hit you back. But we always find a way.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Partnership is Leadership, Electrifying the UK Freight. Goodness, we need to do this. My name is Robert Llewellyn. Some of you may remember me from TV shows like Red Dwarf, Scrap Heap Challenge, How Do They Do It? I'm now, for the last 15 years, been working on a show called Fully Charged, which looks at electrification of ground transport, clean energy, and all those associated topics. So that's kind of why I'm here. I will guide you through a 10 minutes of conversation and insights into the electrification of the UK's road freight. Because, ladies and gentlemen, DFDS trucks are inbound. First, we'll chat to DFDS's Nicholas Anderson about what it takes to launch one of Europe's largest fleets of electric trucks. He'll be joined on stage by Roger Alm of Volvo Trucks. There's a conversation with the Road Haulage Association, Innovate UK and Dynamon, where we look at the UK's transition to electric road freight. We'll then hear from two DFDS customers, Monster Energy and Hypnos Beds, on their experience of switching to electric. And finally, we'll wrap things up with Alan Bell and Casper Damgaard of DFDS. At the end of each segment, we will invite you to share questions or comments, or simply raise your hand and we'll make sure we get a microphone to you. So first up, please welcome onto the stage DFDS's Executive Vice President and Head of Logistics, Nicholas Anderson. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Nick, thank you very much for inviting us all to this rather spectacular venue to mark the launch of DFDS electric truck in the UK. So how does it feel to have your electric trucks operating in this country?
It is fantastic, and just every time we launch a new product in a new geography, it is amazing for us, and we're really excited for that. When it comes to the UK, it's a little bit extra exciting. You could think I'm just saying that because I'm in UK, but this is actually where, it's one of the largest economies in the world. It's a huge footprint as well for DFDS. So it is so important for us to be here as well, and extremely excited and just to get it rolling.
Oh, very good. Well, I imagine there's got to be many months, perhaps even years of preparation and hard work to bring us to this point. When did DFDS start its electric truck operation altogether?
Yeah, and that was the easy part to say when we and Roger agreed on buying trucks. That I thought was tough to negotiate on that and everything, but the deployment was a little bit tougher, but I'll come to that. So we started already with the first pilot phases of the Volvo electrical trucks through a good partnership together with Volvo Trucks, of course. We've been strategic partners for decades, DFDS and Volvo. So that was natural for us to go with that. And, it was 1-2 years where we had the pilot trucks, and then we eventually deployed the first electrical truck in Belgium in 22. So that was an interesting journey. Of course, with challenges, and of course with a lot of things happening during the way, but it's been a fantastic road up until then.
Right. And so how many trucks have you got in operation today then?
115. So that is Europe's largest fleet of heavy-duty trucks.
Right.
On the road, and coming 110 more during the next 5 quarters.
Right, okay. So, and what about in this country then? How many trucks are you making available in the UK?
Yeah, we were humble, so we start with one. No, but we're absolutely the ambition is that we during Q4 24 and during 25 should come up to at least 20 trucks. A little bit up to you guys as well. We can supply more.
So in this room, we've got a diverse collection of people, from innovators of electric trucks and charging infrastructure to data analysts and retailers, people with the ability to decarbonise the UK supply chain. So what do you want them to remember from today before they leave?
Yeah, but I think it's with collaboration and a little bit of boldness, a little bit of a lot of trust, and to create the partnerships and be transparent with each other, then you can achieve whatever you set yourself to do.
So on that note, let's bring one of your partners up. Can you roll the tape, please?
So yeah, set, and action.
You don't need to be an actor to act,
With or without.
but a partner helps, as does vision
You will soon have 225 electrical trucks on the road.
and commitment.
Hello Niklas! Happy anniversary Roger. Happy anniversary yourself. Great to see you. So what is the plan?
That is a surprise.
Great. Great.
I'll tell you later.
With an award-winning truck,
This is recharging Niklas.
Yeah, definitely.
expertise, and an industry-shaping partnership.
Niklas,
Roger,
good to see you. It is the second up here to the right.
but shouldn't we meet tomorrow?
No. I've been here for you all the time. Partnership,
It's the new leadership.
and I'm so excited about your electric launch here in UK with Volvo FH Electric.
And so are we. Come, let's go.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome onto the stage the president of Volvo Trucks, Roger Alm. So that was a great performance. Let's put trucks to one side for a moment. Are you two both planning a career in Hollywood? I mean, I think it's all there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
I think actually we are better in doing what we are doing actually.
I think you are.
But I think as well, the message that we are providing is a very important message. And I hope it's reaching out to you and a lot more into our transport industry.
And so what is it that makes a good partnership? Clearly, you've got a very good partnership. What is that? What's the gist of that?
It's meant, from my point of view, it's a lot of things that is making a good partnership. Of course, you need to share the same values, and you need to be able to move forward, and you need to trust each other. Because partnership is about making business and dealing with things, solving problems in a good way, and then you need to trust each other. If we say something that will happen, it has to happen.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are losing the trust. And there is where you need to build on a whole partnership. It's the same as a family.
Yeah.
You build that in a family as well.
So Nick,
I would just echo that as well, with,
Please do.
with
Yeah.
the partnership and trying to, you find the trust, you need to work together, of course, but to have the trust to do things and collaborate, that is just key to do it and to get it done right in the end, because we had some little bit of roadblocks as well, which we came over, of course, but just working together.
yeah. And DFDS aims to have 25% of its fleet electric by 2030. I mean, you've got to be pretty bullish to make that happen. What makes you?
Yeah, but we think, or we know, we just need to do it. There is no alternative. We need to decarbonise the supply chains, and
Yeah.
of course we are Scope 1 emitter as well. So we're right in the midst of that. So we just need to make it happen.
Yeah.
That is just the ambition from me and the executive management of the DFDS, that we need to do this.
Yeah. And Roger, tell us about the award you got then. What was that?
We received the award last year to be the first OEM truck manufacturer to receive the award International Truck of the Year for an electrical product ever. So that is something very important step into the whole industry. That means that electrification is getting more and more important, is coming closer to everybody. And this is the future. And we have now built a very strong position as Volvo Trucks then in terms of electrical products. Today, we have 8 models into serial production, and we can electrify all kind of segments, all kind of transport. It works in reality today. And I think DFDS is a really proof that this is functioning.
Well, congratulations on winning that. It's very, very well deserved.
Thank you.
Nicholas, what difference can a single truck make to reducing the carbon footprint compared to diesel?
Yeah, but I think you're looking at this, sometimes you can see it's small steps, but just deploying one truck, depending on range and whatever mileage you do with the truck. You know, we do one for Volvo cars now in local Gothenburg, where we actually decrease 31,000 kilos of CO2 per year. So that is pretty impressive, and that's actually short runs as well. And you know, in the FTS we like videos as well. So I think we have a video.
We do have a video.
Bit about that.
Let's watch that. Yes.
DFDS are decarbonizing Volvo Cars' supply chain. From the Volvo factory in Torslanda to the world of Volvo in Gothenburg. DFDS drives 29,000 kilometers every year to deliver 4,800 cars. Using a customized trailer designed for tight spaces, the new cars are safely delivered for their owners to collect. This single DFDS electric truck saves Volvo 31,111 kilograms of CO2 per year, and is proof that moving forward together with purpose, DFDS and their partners turn ambition into action, and small steps into lasting impact.
Yeah. Well, that looked like a very interesting trailer, the car delivery trailer. Very nice, yeah. But there was also something I spotted what was the party trailer? I mean, that looked very special.
Yeah, but the party, we do a lot of specialized equipment for our customers. Of course, we have an ambition to standardize and digitize our operations to have the full scale effect of what we do in the network of the FDS. But then, of course, we're entrepreneurial as well, so we do a little bit of special trailers and special equipment when it's required from our customers. We have that for Volvo AB, Volvo Cars in UK as well, and SSAB and other customers. So that's interesting and quite. We need to meet the demands, of course, of our customers, and we're willing to do that. And of course, the disco trailer for Roger, of course, which he wanted that.
No, and you saw that with this specific trailer, you saw then the flexibility of DFDS, what they can do, and then deliver our own people in a party trailer to celebrate what we have been doing together.
Right.
So I think that is great flexibility from a customer and also a supplier to us, as DFDS is doing transport for Volvo Trucks as well.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a well-earned day off for the truck then. I know that you're working hard on the Volvo truck supply chain. Can we have a look at that? There's a film about that as well.
Yep.
DFDS electric trucks are on the road, quietly moving between Volvo Trucks factory in Skövde and the port of Gothenburg. These 6 electric trucks cover 640 kilometers daily. With an average load of 22 tons, this well-planned operation saves Volvo Trucks 920 tons of CO2 a year. World-class logistics with a world-class truck.
Very nice.
Good promotion for the truck.
So how deep does this partnership between DFDS and Volvo Trucks go?
Yeah, but for me, as I said in the start as well, of course, we worked together for decades, and our strategic suppliers and customer and supplier to each other. So that's interesting, and it goes so deep. We, as I said, with the pilot phase of the truck, deploying the first truck in Belgium, doing Lithuania and Sweden as well, and all the roadblocks we have. It's bumps. I call it bumps. Roadblocks.
Bumps, yeah, not blocks.
But a little bit like on the pilot phase as well, where the truck wasn't 100% there. So we needed to do it together. And our driver were in. I think he was talking more to Volvo Trucks than he talked to the traffic planner within the FDS, just to give the whole insight of how the trucks runs and everything.
Right.
So that's a little bit on how we do it as well together.
But then it's not just in Sweden, I mean, where you have electric trucks. You're in 8 European countries now. So can you tell me about that? That can't have been easy to launch that.
I said from the start, it was easy to buy them. And then, of
Yeah.
course, it's a little bit tougher to deploy them as well. And in Belgium, first electrical truck, fantastic. All our automotive customers are driving. We have mega trailers for them. The truck isn't a mega truck at the moment, or low wheels. So there we needed to work with the governments to get the permit to drive with a higher height in Belgium and stuff like that. That goes all over the place. And it's also a little bit to see with the charging infrastructure, which is more mature in some countries, and a little bit less mature in other countries. And then I know, and the team out here as well from DFDS, they were faced with 60 trucks almost in Gothenburg that we needed to charge with green electricity,
Right.
which wasn't as easy as I thought. So we actually built our own charging station, which were the biggest in Sweden at the moment. Now it's probably bigger out there, but so we just needed to get it running.
Yeah.
But it's also about, you said in the beginning, Nicholas, it's about making bold decision. And you have done that, taking a very, very bold decision. Because in the beginning, when we started with electrification 3 years ago in your company, you were not sure what you should use them for. But you were very sure that this is the future. This is the right thing today. And today you are the leader in the electrifications of transport in the industry in Europe. And you have taken so much big steps ahead. And you have learned so much. And we have learned as well. Because you are a big supplier to us and you are making a lot of transport. And that is also a partnership, how we are then dealing with each other. This is not simple, definitely not. This is a journey that we need to do. And all of us need to start on this one. Because we need to create a better world to live in. We need to reduce carbon. We need to reduce CO2. We have a huge responsibility, all of us, to make this happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is your vision for the UK market? I mean, both of you. Can I start with you, Nicholas?
Yeah, but the vision is, of course, to decarbonise the supply chain within the UK. And you start. It is actually what Roger said as well. It is just getting started. And that can be cumbersome and that can be tough. But, we have 25% electrical truck is the ambition. Then there's transition fuels with HVO and other things as well. But, we need to get started. So the ambition is that we can be do we dare to say a front runner, but absolutely in the front row of decarbonising the supply chain in UK as well.
Have you anything to add to that, Roger? I mean, because it's a big ambition for Volvo.
No, of course, and we are ready. We have now, as I said, 8 models into serial production. We have sold electrical trucks in 49 countries around the world. We have delivered around 4,500 electrical trucks into those 49 countries. We hold a market share in Europe of 50%, and in North America, 40%. And all these 4,500 electrical trucks that we have in customer operations, they have now been driven 100 million kilometers in total. So we have a huge amount of information. We have a lot of data, how these trucks are operating. And here we are in UK, we have our president of the UK operation, Christian Coulsat. We have a strong position here in UK that can take care about the products that we are launching here, electrical trucks, and we have a great dealer network in UK as well. Right. So we will make it work, and we have done that in all other countries as well.
I mean, and what kind of companies do you think are going to adopt electric trucks? Let's go, early on.
I actually think that when you look at the customer base we have on the electrical trucks throughout our network, it's a wide range. I don't think it's specific to any industry or segment. So it's more for the total company when we see what is the decarbonization ambition from the company. So I don't think we can talk about segments. I think everybody needs to come there, and then it's a little bit different maturity in different companies. So that was a tough question.
Yes. Well, let's open up some. Well, if anyone in the audience has any questions. Yes, we've got someone with a question. Here comes a microphone. Can you just tell us who you are, sir, first of all? Thank you.
So, Neil Durno, Voltempo. Picking up on the very last point, actually, a lot of this is about actually your customers and the supply chain that they're then employing to do this for them. What are you seeing in terms of appetite for them to actually generate green power on site in order to go into the trucks, in order to avoid de-stressing the grid and manage down the whole carbon intensity of the energy that we use?
Yeah, but that's really, it's a variety as well from different customers. But if you can generate the green electricity on site, there's actually an ambition and an appetite from the customers to do it as well. Of course, then we come into different business model as well. How is that going to be paid then for the total transport? But we definitely see that. But I don't know. You can say maybe 40% of the customers we have today have gone on that route, and then we have our own charging infrastructure as well.
So can we give a big round of applause, please, for Nicholas and Roger? Thank you. Thanks, guys. Wonderful. Thank you. So we heard about strong partnerships between DFDS and Volvo Trucks, the award-winning truck and the valuable experience they're bringing with them to the UK. But what is the status of the UK's transition to electric HGVs? I'd like to get a feel in the room for what you think of the UK's readiness for electric trucks. So could you please raise your hand if you think that today, the 25th of October 2024, the UK is ready for electric trucks? Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of more than I expected. That's good. That's very optimistic. Very good. If you, I'd like to get no, I'm sorry, I've done that bit. So our next guests are working at the cutting edge of HGV electrification. Let's find out how electric trucks are used today and the roadmap to increase their use in the future. So please welcome to the stage Chris Ashley, Policy Lead Environment and Vehicles at the Road Haulage Association, Isabella Panovich, who is Programme Manager at Zero Emissions Road Freight at Innovate UK, and Angus Webb, CEO and founder of Dynamon. Please welcome them onto the stage. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, Chris, can I start with you? Just how many total HGVs are in the UK now, and what does DFDS's launch mean to the UK road haulage industry?
Certainly. So based on the figures that we have, there's about 300 registered electric HGVs that we know of in the UK. That's out of a total vehicle size of about 500,000, just to put that in perspective. What's DFDS bring to this? First of all, really want to congratulate you for leading the way, and I think importantly, making this real. Because the haulage industry, we are a critical industry. We transport goods from A to B. We're an economic enabler. That ability to transport goods has to happen, and what you're doing to demonstrate how this can happen, by reducing carbon emissions, absolutely, it's the way we need to go.
And I mean, Chris, what do you think is what is driving the move towards electric transport?
Yeah. So there's two things. Firstly, there's the phase-out dates that have been set by the government of 2035 and 2040. But there's also equally the sustainability debate. And what we are finding very much Scope 3 emissions is uppermost in companies' minds as they plan their strategies to reduce their emissions. And that is something that we need to embrace and to support in order to drive this transition.
Right. But then, Isabella, this shift to a more sustainable transport at the moment comes at a higher cost, a higher initial cost. Is that correct?
Yes, currently the sort of forward outlay of the vehicle, the capex upfront price is that bit higher, but we're anticipating the total cost of ownership for the vehicles to become more competitive over time. So things like the repair and maintenance is likely to reduce and become more cost competitive. I think we're expecting, obviously, diesel is more expensive than electricity as well, so the price of refueling. I think there's also an interesting aspect of the fact that the depot owners and fleet operators, there's potential for additional revenue streams as well. So, for instance, we're seeing a lot of business models coming about where operators are opening their depot recharging facilities to the wider network, and there's revenue streams coming through from that.
Right. So that's an interesting one. And Angus, how do you think the cost of electric trucks can be handled? Is there anything we can do to mitigate that?
Sure. So, the key to cost-effective deployment of electric vehicles is what we believe to be is planning. It's all about understanding where the vehicles should go in operations, analysing all of the telematics data, the routes that their vehicles are doing, identifying those routes, And then choosing the right vehicle for the job. You know, it's not just about buying one vehicle. You've got lots of options. What battery size do you choose? Where are you going to put your charging infrastructure in the depot? And then lastly, when your diesel bill becomes your electricity bill, buying energy at the right price, choosing an energy tariff which is reflective of your consumption of energy makes a massive difference to reducing the TCO of the operation. And actually, we're doing that for fleets all over Europe at the moment, and in partnership with Volvo as well in some cases. And we're finding areas today, with the economics today, where EVs are cheaper than diesel. And that's only going to improve over time as the infrastructure rolls out, and there are more places where vehicles can charge.
Right. Chris, what are the RHA's views on the cost of electric trucks then? I'm guessing there's some resistance there from...
Cost is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Particularly, we're a low margin industry, typically 2%. And also the industry is characterised by SMEs, 95% of our industry. So this is a real challenge. And, let's face it, the capital costs of an electric truck compared to diesel are higher. Now, some of this cost will come down through natural vehicle replacement, through economies of scale. But equally, we want the cost of this transition to be as low as it can be. And I think that's where potentially government support would be helpful. Particularly, one of our asks is rebates linked to emissions in order to sort of generate that investment and to bring the costs down.
Yeah. And how supportive are current and previous governments? Have they been to the electrification of UK freight?
Well, certainly with our engagements we've had with the new government, they are very willing to listen. And I think they do understand the challenges and also, the profile of our industry. For me, my asks of the new government would be to prioritise the energy infrastructure. We really must see many more charging points around the country. And then linked to the last one I just made, rebates linked to emissions reduction would certainly help.
Right. And Isabella, can you tell us about some of the projects the UK government has funded to date? I mean, I've noticed that there's a £200 million investment because you'll have to explain the ZHID program.
Yes,
ZHI, yes, that one.
Yeah, I'll come to that. I think
Thank you.
speaking a little bit further back, the UK government's already made some pretty significant investment in this space. So, programs like the Freight Innovation Fund in 2021 saw some really great innovation projects and activities in that space. Also talking to the history of the ZHID program. So the first phase of that piece of activity, which I'll go into more detail around, was the zero emission road freight trials, which were funded in 2021, around £20 million of UK government investment, DFT investment in, so for instance, sort of smaller scale 19-ton rigid battery electric trucks that were trialled with infrastructure with public sector bodies. But then I guess the today piece, so I think just about a year ago today, October 2023, the government of the time announced the successful projects within the zero emission HGV and infrastructure demonstrator program, the ZHID, that's what it stands for, yeah. So that's a £200 million government investment looking at the battery electric HGVs and the associated charging infrastructure. So pretty sizable. And we're looking at the learnings around that, the data, the dissemination pieces associated.
Right. Because I know, a lot of companies, and I've heard this even in my peripheral contact with it, the big fear is the charging infrastructure and where will I be able to charge my truck and is it ever going to be possible? So does the ZHID, is that what that's aiming to address that problem?
we have the I for infrastructure and ZHID. So we're currently looking at around 70 publicly available sites within the program that are being funded. So that's both public depot sites managed by operators and then also a number of public-facing motorway service areas. And that, I think, will really help the uptake for people within the program and outside of the program having that available infrastructure, knowing that they have the availability of charging from that.
And roughly so you've explained that a bit, but will there be I think the thing I've learned from electric cars
Yes.
is people don't see it until they don't see the infrastructure until they drive an electric car. Then they suddenly are aware of it. But is that something? Are some of them going to be in public spaces like a motorway service station, that sort of area?
Yeah. So I can't speak to the specifics of how many motorway service areas, how many depots at this stage. But like I said, we're looking at currently around 70 of those sites. And sort of the framing within ZHID is that where possible, that infrastructure should be publicly available for the wider sector. It's not just for the programme. So, I think the sites are spread across the entirety of the UK, along the main freight route. So obviously around key industrial cities like Manchester, Birmingham, London, there's going to be a number of provisions around those areas.
And I think it might be a good point now to speak to Carl Kingham from Enevo, who's sat in the audience. Where's Carl? Oh, there. Thank you, Carl. So Enevo are designing and installing electric truck charging stations as part of ZHID. Is that how you say it?
So it wasn't originally ZHID, but
Right.
it is now.
It's become ZHID.
Truck demonstrator ZHID.
It's a new one to me. But you've been installing chargers for many years for electric cars and buses. So what do your customers think about when it comes to charging their electric truck?
Anybody that knows me will know that I can speak for hours around charging infrastructure, so I will try and summarise. But firstly, really pleased to be working with DFDS to deliver their charging infrastructure as part of the ZHID programme, so really exciting space to be in. But I think kind of my initial advice to anybody, and working with lots of customers and lots of fleet operators, is you can't plan early enough really. And I think most operators, they don't realise the complexities of the charging infrastructure. They look at the trucks and quite frankly, clearly they need to, and they need to test and trial the vehicles. But the charging infrastructure is hugely complex and there's lots of different variables and requirements associated with that. So, for example, map your operations early, undertake power modelling, develop your energy strategy. That is really key in terms of TCOs and, OPEX costs, have a phased transition approach and start liaising with the DNO really, really early because power is clearly key. But massive, significant, multiple benefits with transitioning to EV, not just clearly, carbon emissions, air quality, but opportunity for new business models, additional revenue streams, brand, sector differentiation, mitigate your customer scope 3 emissions, and in turn, I suppose, help you win more business in the long run. But having said that, every site is different in terms of infrastructure and the requirements at the depot. So in terms of kind of finding the right solution, you need to consider things such as, what's the vehicle size of the battery? What's the charge curve of the battery? What's your daily mileage? Dwell time, parking layout, spatial planning. The electrical infrastructure equipment is hugely, significant in terms of the amount of space you require. Typically, you're bringing in large HV new connections, substations, large LV panels, and the infrastructure alone, charging units alone, take up a lot of space. That has implications on, actually how many vehicles can we park at this depot? Does it reduce the amount of parking that we can have at this depot? And clearly the availability of grid power as well. By far the key is power. It's becoming increasingly difficult to secure. I'm working with the DNOs nationally across all the regions, and sometimes we're getting costs that are significant, and we're being told you can't have power for 3 to 5 years because of reinforcement. So consider that as well. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a phased approach. Pick off that low-hanging fruit initially. Gather the operational data, gather some learnings. And that's clearly what the ZHID project, is trying to do and achieve. So, in summary, kind of my initial advice.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Carl. That's very, very good of you. Angus, what's Dynamon's take on charging and the challenges we face?
We're involved in ZHID as well. We're leading one of the consortiums, which DFDS is part of. Sharing depot infrastructure, we believe, is a huge opportunity for the industry because we want to really reduce the cost of deploying infrastructure in multiple locations. And so if fleets can share their infrastructure, they can access someone else's capital investment and provide revenue to the counterparty, but also not need to do it themselves and pay probably a lower rate on energy. If there was charging everywhere, where vehicles stopped, electric vehicles would be easy. But that's not the case, and it's going to take maybe decades for that to become the case. So really the challenge is a capital allocation challenge. Over time, where do we choose to strategically place charging infrastructure? Where do we put chargers in depots? And that is a sort of a complicated analysis. And so we've developed a tool to help transition fleets to EVs. I've got a slide which shows that here. And what we're trying to do is to try and make the analysis possible for to be performed by non-engineers, non-data scientists, non-consultants, because the amount of analysis that's going to need to be done in the next 15 years is enormous, and we want to make that available to basically everyone, and to provide fleets the certainty that they can transition easily and make it a transition where they can strategically start to invest, but not be afraid of the fact that there's this huge capital burden that's sitting over their head. Because actually, if you do the analysis, you can find cost-effective deployments of electric vehicles, you can find areas where charging infrastructure can be deployed, and we found areas where a fleet can electrify with a relatively small amount of chargers, and in many cases, not even high-power DC chargers, and we're talking full-size, 40-ton semi-trucks. And so doing the analysis is really key, doing the planning, that's what we're all about at Dynamon, and this is what we've developed to solve that problem.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So have we got any questions now from the audience? Would anyone like to ask a question? It's particularly, I think, about charging. I mean, that is clearly I think the interesting thing we've already learned is the trucks work. They're built by Volvo. They're quite good at making things, apparently. So that side of it is that's been sorted, but the charging is obviously the big challenge. Let's ask you, Chris, when do you expect electric trucks to become mainstream, the majority?
So we're guided by the Climate Change Committee and their forecasts here. And if you read their wonderful output, they're kind of predicting from 2030 to 2032 is the sweet point where we'll start seeing the mass uptake of electric HGVs in this country. Now, we're only, 7 years away from that, 8 years away from that. There's an awful lot of work to be done, and we're hearing some of the issues that are being articulated. So what are we about? We're about working through those issues. It's about working with companies like Dynamon, Volvo, DFDS, tapping into their expertise so that we can make this happen. But I think also I just want to just say, and on a positive note here, we should say, the potential is huge here. The opportunities are huge here. The message about different models, different business models, absolutely. And it's for our industry really to rise up now and to embrace that opportunity because we can make this work. And I just go back to my earlier point at the start. This is now about making it real, and that is why today's launch is so welcome about how we can make this real.
Thank you. Yeah, no, very important. Nicholas, can I ask you, how do we compare? I'm embarrassed now for my country. How do we compare in terms of readiness for electric freight to other European countries?
I think you're not in the first row, but that can happen, of course. So, but it's a little bit with the infrastructure and talking about the green electricity and the infrastructure. That's a little bit behind, but I hear good initiatives as well to come there. But I would say the Nordics, that's pretty advanced in that as well. So a little bit of catching up to do, but I think we will make it. So.
And Roger, you wanted to add something?
I would be a little bit more clearer and say that you're very much behind. and honestly, time is running out. We cannot wait to 2030, 2032. We need to live here and now. We need to take decisions. We need to take actions. It's all about us and the next generation that we will then make it for, because they are not so interested in charging prices on the product and so forth. They want us to create a better world for them to live in. Yeah. And that is what we need to give them and come together to make that happen. We need to act here and now.
Thank you. So let's have another show of hands. After everything you've heard on stage just now, please raise your hands if you're feeling more optimistic about the UK's readiness for electric trucks. We've got a fractional increase. a tiny increase in hands. Thank you very much. So, Angus, Chris, Carl, and Isabella, thank you very much for your input today. Really, really, thank you. Great stuff. So, we've seen that progress has been made in the electrification of HGVs in the UK. We've heard how effective planning can mitigate these changes, but the challenges, they are something a customer has to be willing to take on. So why would you? Let's find out by speaking to two very different brands who have added DFDS electric trucks to their fleets in this country. First, a high-energy American drinks brand.
I don't think it would be so bold to say that really we wouldn't have had the success that we have had in the past few years if it hadn't have been for DFDS and their partnership and their ability to help us deliver. Service is massively important to us. Cans in hands is the thing that we do, and our service level is really quite phenomenal right now. For electrical trucks, we just didn't see, and we know that DFDS are a front runner, and their partnership with Volvo, we recognise that is market leading, industry leading, and already partnering in so many ways. It was just a natural thing to do. We genuinely saw this as the right thing to do, the thing that we need to do. We are the leaders of today, and it's our duty to tackle the decarbonisation sustainability journey. And as I say, I think it's been met with admiration from our customers and a bit of stimulation of thought of what they should be doing as well. Monster grow rapidly. We double our business every 4 years, and we found out that DFDS Logistics pretty much do the same. And so the ability for us to collaborate and solve challenges together has been quite phenomenal.
So please welcome to the stage Richard Fletcher, Vice President of Supply Chain for EMEA at Monster Energy.
Hi.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. So now, just tell me, why have Monster Energy invested in electric trucks? I was surprised when I read this initially.
Really?
Well, in a good way.
Firstly, just so humbled and excited to be here, and that last section really does kind of build me up with confidence. So why us? It's the right thing to do. First of all, let's just take that from personally and from our business perspective. I think for Monster, we always consider ourselves kind of innovative. We're in the Forbes top innovative companies, and so something like this, partnering with DFDS and particularly in the UK, is an innovative drive for us. But let's also remember the economic factors here. I mean, there's a cost avoidance thing in doing this right and doing it right now.
Right. And how do you convince people? I mean, was it a battle to convince people internally at Monster Energy to take this step?
How do you convince people? I think it's persistence. I think you've got to be persistent. Look, you heard on there, we double our business every 4 years. We're very proud of that. And so there is a genuine kind of fight every day to deliver the business, put cans in hands. That's what we do. And so to get something like that on the agenda is a challenge. We do have a sustainability group with a number of projects across sustainability and decarbonisation, and we were able to influence through that route as well. But I guess just reminding the business that in future years this will be expensive if we don't do this. You've got to play all the levers, really.
And then I think it's very interesting in the film you mentioned that you're getting admiration from your customers. Can you, that feedback? So people see a Monster Energy truck and they see, oh, it's electric. There's going to be a thing.
It's a cool looking truck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look, I use the word admiration. I would probably say it's a demand. Look, our biggest customer is Coca-Cola Global. Of course it is. And their customers demand this of us. We won't double our business every 4 years if we don't treat this seriously.
Right.
So we have to do it. It's not an option. Look, we've got some e-trucks in the Netherlands, very exciting. They saw that as a start. It's just a start. And they demand us to go kind of harder, bigger, faster, stronger.
So, I mean, you've got all those trucks operating in the Netherlands. Will you do the same here in the UK?
Well, I'm here, yes.
Yes.
Look, we're committed. We've got a great partnership with DFDS Logistics, and that's not going to change in a hurry. I like what I heard about the ZHID program. I came here this morning myself with concerns around infrastructure. I'm committed to doing this. We're looking at heat maps. Where are we running vehicles? What's the distances we can travel? But obviously it needs to be tied in with infrastructure, but we're committed to the journey. Absolutely.
Right. That's fantastic. But you can tell me, how have DFDS helped you in this journey?
Oh, well, without DFDS, it wouldn't have been possible. They've made it possible for us, and they've made it easy. They work really well with us. They're not so demanding on some of the cost challenges at times. So it's just literally not been possible without them.
Right. And what would you say to someone, if you met someone through work who's in the similar position in another company, what would you say to them about going electric?
Be persistent, be resilient. You know it's the right thing to do. You've got to just buckle up and do it.
Right. That's good.
The time is now.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you very much, Richard. Round of applause for Richard, please. So our next company is over 120 years old. It's proudly British and with a royal warrant. I'd love a royal warrant. I've never had one of those. A pioneering bed maker that provides comfort with integrity and now uses transport with integrity.
My name is David Baldry. I'm Group Managing Director of Hypnos Beds. So, right, let's get comfortable. As a 120-year-old bed furniture manufacturing business, we make mattresses every day. They're big, fragile, easy to mark, but also because of the quality and care we put into our hand manufactured products, we need to make sure they get to the final destination perfectly every time. So, here we are in my first electric truck drive, and we're going to follow one of my colleagues, and off we go. It's so smooth. So we're going to start working on a plan over the next 5 years on how we evolve our fleet into something that meets the standards we have for reliable ethical sourcing, and that can then be transport with integrity as well. Big wide turn, and don't take out the charging posts. As it stands today, we're going to put 2 trucks into a market with no HGV recharging facilities located. Well, somebody needs to hurry up and put some in. And it goes up really easily, which is quite shocking. So it's good fun. Thank you for organising this. And as of yet, nobody on the team that's been involved in this has said, no, that's impossible. Everyone said, how can we do this? So the challenge really is, how do we make it work? This is my favourite bit as well, because obviously I'm such an experienced truck driver of 1.5 minutes. You just let off and let the truck do the work, and it slows down. Both the team are really excited because it's not us just saying we're going to do something. We are actually working with partnerships to enable us to deliver on our promises, but also setting a new standard and leading the way. Because the other thing that's quite cool is how the steering does all the active stuff. I'm quite fortunate having a bit of the inside track into one of our customer meetings recently, and the immediate thing that they said was, okay, we want our delivery of our 250 beds into central London on that electric truck. How can we make that happen? You don't get reactions like that when you're talking about normal stuff. So this really is new, unique, and leading the way.
So please welcome onto the stage David Baldry, Group Managing Director of Hypnos Beds. Welcome, David. Thank you very much. Well, congratulations on owning the UK's first DFDS electric truck. How does that feel?
I have to say, from the start of this journey, because we only moved to be a customer of DFDS in January, we ordered our first electric truck in April. Every part of it has been exciting, wonderful, and fun. Customers have engaged with it at every level. When we brought the truck into our building, we brought all 290 people out the front of it to welcome it. And it took us about an hour and a half to get everybody back inside because it's that much fun. We also took the opportunity to do a new livery, celebrating 120 years. I do like to refer to us as a 120-year-old startup, because if we want to make change, we've got to start thinking differently.
Yeah. And what impression have electric trucks, what are you aware of the impact that's made on your customer base and people who know the company?
It's actually quite easy to quantify. I was asked this earlier on, and Nick and I both have a similar journey of, let's do it and work it out later. We, on announcing the arrival of our truck, had one of our hotel customers phones up. They'd actually selected a competitor, £75,000 order in Manchester. If you'll deliver that with your EV truck, we'll give you the order right now. They came straight across. So we say yes, we get the order.
Wow.
We've had 2 more, and this continues to grow. It's been really interesting, and I think one of the things when we talk about cost, we're not talking about opportunity. For us, it's part of our sales package now. It's not about being, we have to do it. We've all said we have to do it, so I won't repeat that message for the 15th time, but we have to do it. There's an opportunity to lead and give customers what they want, whether that's a retailer or a hotel. We all have targets and we all want to do things. And this is tangible. You can see it, you can touch it. If any of you want to come to Princess Risborough, you can have a play in it. It is one of the best things that we've ever done.
Wow, it sounds incredibly positive. So what are your plans going forward then for the company?
So going forward, we've made a few bold steps. That's the first truck on our trip over to the UK. We have our second one arriving in a few weeks' time. We have a third one arriving in around April. We've just put planning permission in because I quite like the idea of having our own charge park. Henrik showed me that, and why not copy it? Let's try it. I'd be very interested to understand that scheme on how we can work together to get correct power in, how we can maybe use that for other partners. And we've now started working with the DFDS team on not the 2040 transition plan, but actually beating it. One of the things that stands out is we started in January, we're already going EV. The partnership that we've seen all the way through, whether that's when we came, where we saw the guys at Volvo, when we were with DFDS at every stage of the way, it's not what's the problem, it's how can we make it happen. Let's go and do it. My colleague from Monster Energy, we have to do it, so let's make it work.
And I mean, finally, I'm assuming this is going to be a very positive answer, but your relationship with DFDS, how's that been?
Fantastic, all the way through, actually mostly becoming friends. Right. All the way through to some bad karaoke singing. And also your partnership delivers this shot here, which I have to say, when you close Gothenburg Ro-Ro port to take a photo, was not something I thought was happening when we did the contract in January. So thank you to the guys. But also it demonstrates to our customers what the potential is. Yeah. And this is a journey we're going on. So we will beat 2030. We will go mostly across and enjoy some fun with our friends on the way.
Very good. And now I'm guessing that someone's going, yes, I knew you would ask a question. Thank you so much. Can we get a microphone here? Can you just put your hand up again? So, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Hiya, Kasia Chodorek from Aegis Energy. Just wondering, if the truck's already on the road, what part of the operation is it supporting? What sort of journeys is it doing? And second question, what was your karaoke song?
Area of concern? Don't really have one because we don't have a choice. We have to work out to make this work, and if you have the partnership, you can make it work. Where is it working? So we've been doing trial runs with this. The other day we managed to do our first double delivery in the same day, so we operate a single shift. It's gone to a large national retailer, their depot, back and back out again. We're currently having demands. The biggest problem we actually have with is everybody wants their deliveries on it. So, and one of the things that's really interesting today is the Dynamon software and how that works, and working with James. The duty cycle is everything we want to make it to be. The benefit when we brought the truck over, we've talked about infrastructure. I'm, by the way, with Roger on this. We are not even making the grade at the moment. Right. But Shell had opened their first depot for charging. So we've now mapped that into our routes. So we are delivering to 3 national retailers. We are about to take the truck on a test run all the way up to Glasgow to pick up some wool, take it down to Saltaire to the wool processing, pick up the wool from there and bring it all the way down. The big thing we're also working on, and this was part of the DFDS partnership, is we are creating a case study so we can share that knowledge on how it works. As of yet, we've not had a problem. In fact, the distances are longer, it's working better, charging time's better. It's £30 to charge up rather than £600 of diesel. There's lots of benefits we're finding. It's just trying it. So yeah, every day it's out there, including driving from there all the way down to our office, up to the bed show, back down to our office. And the driver, Richard, who's been doing all the work, only has praise, and it's exceeded all of his expectations. And I think for the guy who drives it to say that, yeah, it's great for me as an operator, but he's the person who has to live with it every day.
Because one of the things you mentioned that we've in a discussion earlier on was a car driver can just drive whenever they want, and they can. And I'm constantly told I drive 900 miles a day, so I can't charge an electric car. But a truck driver has to legally stop.
Yes, that's one of the things. If we get the infrastructure right, these guys have to stop. There is a card in there. If they don't stop, we get a fine. If those of us who have an O licence, how many people have an O licence in the room? Hi. It's a very big naughty fine if you don't operate correctly. You have to stop. It's not like a car driver where you do a 2-minute stop and you jump back in with your Costa coffee and go again. These guys have to stop for 45 minutes. So alongside the charging, we need to create spaces for them to go and have a nice break, which will make the road safer as well, give them a better experience. The truck's a nice place to be. Well done on whoever designed that at Volvo. But we do need to make sure we understand that part. We're talking about how do you charge it? Well, if it does 280-ish miles or 200 miles, 55 miles an hour maximum speed limit, you have to stop every 4 hours. So it already meets that duty cycle. The question is for the UK to get enough charging into place.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, David. Big round of applause for David, please. Thank you. So we've heard about existing customers planning to invest more in electric trucks. And if you're inspired by what you've heard today, then it's time to meet the people who can help you start your electric truck journey in the UK. Please welcome onto the stage Alan Bell, DFDS's Vice President of Logistics for the UK and Ireland, and Casper Damgaard, Vice President and Head of Strategic Sales at DFDS. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. So, Alan, we've heard all about this. We've just heard that the UK team was able to launch its first very quickly for Hypnos beds. How did you actually manage that? Because that's quite a lot of stuff to do when you're doing that.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, we learned from the experience of our international colleagues. You asked a little bit the question, where is the UK on this journey?
Yeah.
Well, we learn from those guys who are well ahead of us. Internally, we take that experience, but then we get extremely fortunate with our great customer, Hypnos, who have a lot of vision and foresight to say that, okay, we're just going to do it. Right. And then the combination of that then just makes it work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, who is the best point of contact at DFDS to talk about electric trucks? I'm guessing it's you.
I hope so. Number one, you can try me, but we also have a head of trucking, Henrik, and Daniel Allen, who is our general manager in the UK international business. Both of those guys would be good contacts to make.
All right. Henrik and Daniel, would you mind standing up so people can see you? There you are. There they are. Very noticeable. Very good. Thank you very much. So if you want to find out more after we finish, then do remember them. So Casper, this is a big step for companies. What advice do you have?
To the customers.
To your customers, yeah.
Well, okay, where to start and where to end. I think, in all fairness, a lot of that has actually been captured and well articulated by a couple of our customers who've been here on the stage. But I think, not stating the obvious, it's great to have, and the simple answer could have been, we just need more Davies and Richards of this world. But I don't know if we do. But I do know that when Richard says, you just need to buckle up, and David says, we all know we have to do it, it's right, both of them. Having said that, I'm also humble and well aware that many of you will represent organizations where you may not have that influential people around in your organization to make sure this is well anchored. So one advice and shared reflection would be, whilst knowing this is the right thing for us to do, also remain humble and resilient when you in your organization meet resistance to actually do the transition in the same pace as you would anticipate relevant. This is a transition in all aspects, right? It's a physical transition, but it's also a cultural transition. You will meet companies or representatives in your organization for whom this is an organizational cultural transition. And I see a lot of you nodding, so I know I'm onto something here. And I think two things on that. One, the moment we accept that it's a transition, we also implicitly accept that we need to do something different. So when we look at the ways we used to look at transportation A to B, I'm not saying throw all of that away. There's still massive value in it, but we need to understand that that needs to be, redefined and revisited and added with something else. And the moment we do that, we can also start asking ourselves new questions, like, for instance, who can I team up with, right? We talked a lot about partnerships. I would like to push partnership to next level. It's great to see Roger and Nicholas, inspiration for all of us. But I'm really thinking about, partnerships beyond just a supplier and customer, right? There's also an end customer. There's also peers in the industry who can be inspirational in terms of how their journey has been.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking of a supermarket near me where a big truck arrives to deliver a lot of stuff. You could be charging that truck at that supermarket. I mean, just one possible way of dealing with those things.
And for me, that's tipping into the point. I don't have all the answers to what does it mean to look at it with new eyes and rethink the entire way we organize it. But it is actually about pushing the boundaries in terms of how do we traditionally think of transportation A to B.
Yeah. I mean, what are the most commonly asked questions when you're talking to potential customers? What are their anxieties, if you like? It's for both of you as well. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can go first. And I think we can generate a relatively long list, but I think it was captured throughout the last presentation, right? There's something about the infrastructure, the charging in itself, and there's something about cost. I think those two dimensions is reoccurring.
Yeah.
And I think, also back to the advices, I think we need to help each other, challenge ourselves and each other on, thinking of the concept of cost. I think it was also well articulated, right? The cost will come anyway at a certain point of time, just in a different shape and form. So it's almost an imaginary cost we're trying to talk about now, utilizing maybe a traditional mindset. So that's one element where we need to think differently.
Have you got anything to add?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of our customers, they put their life and soul into building their product, if that's beds or cans. They worry if they're going to get there on time. And that is just a little bit of an extra risk. But that's something DFDS can help and take them on the journey of that.
Right. So, I mean, how would you both sum up what we've seen here today? Because it does, to me, it feels like big challenges, but a lot of optimism, a lot of enthusiasm.
Absolutely. I think, number one, I'm super proud. I think DFDS are really putting their money where their mouth is in this investment. If you look at other companies, they've got big targets, just like DFDS does. But DFDS actually starts. We actually go and we put trucks on the road. And I think this is a journey that will only lead to the full decarbonisation of the supply chain.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank you very much. I'd like to collect some final thoughts from the audience, whether you have a question or a comment on what's been discussed. Would anyone like to raise their hand now? Has anyone got a further question? No. But we have received some questions in advance from people who've signed up to watch the recording of this event. And one of them is Warren Engel of VEV. He asks, what do you see as the biggest challenge to operating an EHGV in the UK? Which is kind of what we've been discussing, but there's no one single challenge, you think?
I think the charging mechanisms in the locations that you need them. Of course, we're dotted around the UK, a lot on the coasts. We need a lot of electricity in certain locations. At the moment, that's not possible. And that's something we look for some help with from governments to actually make a change there.
Right. We've had a question from Lewis Farrow of Lawrence David Limited, who asks, what infrastructure is being updated / put into place to support longer distance supply chains? So similar area, it's the same.
It's the same, yeah. I think it is the infrastructure for charging. We talk about 10 trucks here that we will implement. I think the government has supported a little bit on charging in 2 or 3 locations, but that'll solve a small number of trucks.
Yeah.
I think the number was 500,000 trucks in the UK.
Yeah.
Something fairly fundamental has to happen there.
And Sam Durkin of Brett Concrete asks, are EHGVs currently on predetermined routes? At what point do you think they'll be in the general haulage scene?
Yeah, I think a lot are on predetermined routes at the moment. But of course, there is a natural flow of trucks throughout the UK. So I don't think it's inconceivable that we can have trucks on our general haulage. You just have to plan correctly. You just have to make the steps in the planning phase, and then I think it can work.
Because I suppose I'm assuming that a lot of trucks are on. I mean, I would assume all trucks are on predetermined routes, but I guess there are trucks that will get a call and go over there and go there and go there. So yes, you need to do that. I mean, one of the questions I think is, which I hear a lot, and this is in regard to just electric transportation in general, is can the UK grid cope? We've always heard about, all these electric cars will melt the grid and won't be able to cope. What's actually happened in the last 10 years in this country is our electricity demand has actually dropped, mainly because of LEDs and things like that. But obviously a truck is going to use a lot more electricity. And what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, and that's where we take other steps, where we put solar panels on all of our warehouses. We invest in wind energy as well. And there I think we can provide energy for the trucks. And that would be the perfect situation, that you were charging up a warehouse that was then providing the electricity to a truck. Of course, you can't solve the entire problem like that, but that's one step that we take.
I'm going to throw in my little two-penneth here, which is that having spent 2 days filming at one of our big 3 oil refineries, each of those oil refineries uses the same amount of electricity as a city the size of Coventry. So we've got 3 secret cities we didn't even know about that are using vast amounts of electricity to refine oil, which we pay £1.4 billion a week to import. Some of it from Norway. Lovely Norwegians. No wonder they all got electric cars and good healthcare. Anyway, has anyone got any more questions at all? I'll just say one more thing, totally unrelated to electric trucks. The 4 knackered, broken down actors who have been in Red Dwarf since 1988 are making one more series in June next year. So there's more Red Dwarf to come. But that brings us to the end of proceedings here from the 40th floor of the Gherkin. I think it's just such an amazing venue. And the windows have cleared and then we can see a bit of a thing. When we first got here this morning, you couldn't see anything. It was extraordinary. I would like to thank Alan and Casper and all the guests we've had on stage and everyone we've heard from in the audience too. And could we please have a big round of applause to Nicholas Anderson at DFDS for organising this important event. Thank you very much, Nicholas. It's been really good. So that is it for Partnership is Leadership. And clearly the partnership aspect of what we've seen today is critically important in the journey to electrify UK freight. So now it's all over to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Thank you.